I'm live. What's up, Buffalo Bills fans? Mark here. I'm just coming to talk a little bit about, Senior Bowl. Maybe if you want to talk about Super Bowl. Unfortunate week in sports for some, for many. If you want to talk about that, it's real somber in that regard. Buffalo Bills, obviously, always first and foremost on our minds in terms of, sports. I was trying to watch the Sabres, but they're losing, and the goalie just got hurt. So what do you? It's typical Sabres, right? But yeah, put out a mock yesterday. Threw it up on Instagram. Threw it up on Snap, and basically said I'd explain my pick on here, which I did. I uploaded it. What's up, Hussein? How you doing? Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I always think about the Bills, but it's just a tragedy. Loss of a child too. That's a tragedy. Um, you know, it's terrible, man. I can't say anything that's already hasn't been said or felt. I remember watching a kid get drafted, 17 years old. Uh, my one, this might be my one little thing on Kobe. I remember him, 17, NBA. I believe it was the Western Conference Finals, on the court at 17 with Shaq, Nick Van Exel, Cedric Ceballos, all these guys. Two future Hall of Famers on the other side of the ball for the Jazz, and Karl Malone, Stockton, and he was shooting the air balls. Everybody was getting on him. But then I had somebody tell me, that kid's going to be great. That kid's going to be great. And it didn't resonate with me till later on in life. He had the balls. He had the balls and the mentality to take those shots. And even though he missed them, he still had the mental strength to come back and get better and not let that, totally kill him. Because imagine being a 17-year-old kid and you fail in that moment. A lot of kids can never come back from that. And he not only came back from it, I mean, my God, the career he paved out, it'll be unbelievable, And, I've seen crazy things. Boxers die in the ring. I've seen, Dale Earnhardt die on live TV. It's crazy when you see those types of things and you don't really get it, You don't really get it in the sense that you're watching that person's last moments on Earth, which is terrible, terrible. You never makes us question our own mortality too. I think makes us think about ourselves. Like, hey, with our, we're not special. Anything could happen at any given point in time. That's what really hits us, when somebody like that tragically passes. But I don't want to, totally kill it. It's terrible, especially it's supposed to be a happy time, Super Bowl week, it's supposed to be, draft time. But yeah, I put out a mock yesterday. I don't know if you guys had a chance to watch the video or see it on Twitter. I didn't put it on Twitter. I put it on Instagram and stuff, and I guess it was a little bit of shock to some. But again, I felt like I explained it pretty well. I felt like he's the guy. If you look at the Bills, what they value, what they look for in players, the kind of kid he is, where he comes from, the long road he had to take, the position he plays, the flexibility within the position he plays, his return ability, everything. I just felt like he just made so much sense for them at that spot, because somebody told me, and you look at it, it's true. The Bills like taking players that have high, very high athletic traits that still feel like they can develop them. You look at Josh Allen, what's up, Damager? You look at Edmonds, you look at Darryl Johnson to a lesser extent. You look at, guys like that. They like those kind of guys with rare physical skill sets, but they feel like they can coach up, get more out of them. And I feel like, what's up, man? Sabres are done. They're toast. Fuck. Damn. But yeah, I feel like this kid, he could play everywhere for them. What's up, Los? I feel like he can play everywhere for them. He could play boundary corner. He could play slot corner. He could play big nickel. He could play safety. He's got return ability. Again, if you guys have differences on the player or whatever, I don't know if you had a chance to watch him or watch some of the highlights. They're very, very raw. I mean, the size of the school this kid played at was a small, I mean, for a D2 school, it was extremely, extremely small. And it was really hard to yeah, it's a damn shame, dude. It's a damn shame. I mean, to have such a fan base like this, and this is the product that people have, in such a hockey town, hockey city. It's sickening, and Botterill has to go. He's his time is done. He's done nothing to this team or this roster. It's fucking disgusting, sickening. What's up, Hussein? Um, Oh yeah, 100%. I feel like, and that's going to happen. And I was going to touch on a guy that I feel like the Bills kind of, I don't know if they fell in love with, but I would tell you to watch for this guy. That's all I'll say. I'll just say, like, look, if this guy is there in the second round and the Bills take him, don't be shocked. And I think you guys will like this guy. But the guy's name that I chose for the Bills, well, I predict that they'll pick. This is a prediction. It's not a, before everybody goes roaring and shouting at me, was Kyle Duggar. And, special teams returns. I mean, if this kid runs low 4.4 at 6'1", 217, he plays the run extremely aggressive. He tackles. He's all over the field, sideline to sideline, and just that's what they value in the secondary. Guys they can disguise coverage with, guys that they can move around, chess pieces. That's what they value. McDermott, again, former small school defensive back. They've had a penchant for drafting those guys. Granted, in lower rounds, Teron Johnson, I believe Weber State, Saran Neal was Jacksonville State, again, small schools. So keep in mind, the guy that I kind of got the idea of, the other guy that I'm going to speak about, a wide receiver, a guy that I think that they kind of like got a little sweet on down in Mobile was is Chase Claypool from Notre Dame. He, again, physicality you can't teach. Legit 6'4", 229, body type like a Mike Evans, like a true body type like a Mike Evans, like smooth route runner. Moves a lot more fluid than a guy his size would normally do. He's not a stiff. And they feel like a kid coming from Canada, didn't start right away at Notre Dame, started halfway through his junior year, I believe, played special teams. I believe they really started playing him more when they made the switch at Notre Dame from Brandon Wimbush to Ian Book, and they were more pass-heavy offense. And I think that a guy like him, again, 6'4", 229, legit stud size receiver, that if he runs even in the 4.5s, could be a matchup nightmare. And again, a guy, rare physical traits that they feel like they could coach up, and his best football is still yet to come. Same thing with Duggar. The guy was playing at a school that looked like damn near high school fields. Imagine if he gets into a place with NFL, rehab, NFL coaching, NFL nutrition, NFL weight room, NFL strength coaches. Sky's the limits for guys like that, because we kind of forget those resources and those things aren't available. It's not like in Alabama where those guys have pretty much the full-on NFL experience in every way, shape, or form. Orthopedists, all these types of different doctors, massage therapists, all these acupuncture, they have everything NFL players have. But a kid like him, not so much. And everything I read about him, researched about him, two-time captain, humbled and hungry. He played at the Senior Bowl very, very well. He was good in his one-on-ones, and those are hard battles to win. He even had an interception on one against the was a John Mackey finalist, Pinckney, I believe, from Vanderbilt or Wake Forest, I think it was Vanderbilt he went to. So again, I think this kid is legit. If you want to go on to the other side of the ball and talk about a kid similar to him that scouts are really, really high on, I've heard that he's going to be the first tight end off the board. Not saying the Bills are going to take a tight end. Was Adam Troutman. The guy comes from Dayton, tiny school, but this kid, 6'5", fits that E-type, prototype what people want in a tight end. So again, people like that clay that they can mold. And I feel like this kid for the Bills is that. And then you look at Claypool in the second round, possibly. That would be great. That would be great. They feel like they have their small guys. Now they go get their size guys, and then we'll see probably. I think the ads in free agency are going to be a veteran pass rusher, a veteran lineman, and then those are going to be the preceding picks 3 and 4. I think we'll see a pass rusher, a lineman, whichever prospect they want. I don't even want to guess. I just know he'll have to have position flexibility on the offensive line. And then we'll see like a hybrid type pass rusher, maybe like a Zach Bourne, guy who could play off the ball linebacker, come down, rush, possibly be a replacement for Lorenzo Alexander. Those are my ideas, and I always want to have reasons. I do that with every team. I just don't put players in slots. I try to why does this team need this guy? What's their age at this position? What kind of money do they have at the position already? Is this guy a guy that's out of favor with the team? Is this guy somebody going to cut? That's why I weigh it all in. Bills at corner were playing with fire last year. We saw that. We saw that last game of the season with the injury to Levi. Didn't play in the playoff game. And even then, Trey was already inactive. They had the Saran Neal. They had Isaiah McKenzie back there playing corner. You don't want to have that happen in a game that truly means something. You really don't. So, again, I'm not saying the Bills are going to pick this kid, whatever. You see a lot of pundits, a lot of mocks, a lot of rankings. They're very, very raw this time of year for draft media, draft Twitter. They're just going to find out more and more how much the NFL scouting community truly, truly likes this kid. And I do not doubt that he will be invited to Vegas. And if he's invited to Vegas, that's going to start sounding alarm bells to me that he's going to be available to go anywhere between 20 and the high second round. I'm all for the Bills trading down and still being able to get him. Don't get me wrong. But I can't predict the trade down. It's hard enough to predict the player. I just wanted to see what you guys thought of the guy, see if you looked at him, guys that you like. I know we all kind of look at guys this time of year, pick out guys with, kind of have man crushes. That's why it's man crush season. You find players you like, man crush season. I think a guy like him could definitely be a huge ad, Snarl, huge ad in all different types of ways. He comes down and plays the run like a real physical linebacker, like a safety, kind of similar to the Jamal Adams, and then he can play coverage a lot better than people. I've seen him go back, track the ball, play the ball in space. Once he gets the ball in his hands, he's a threat to take it to the house. And even then, even when he's coming down, he's ripping the ball out. He's causing fumbles. He's a striker. He hits guys, they fall. So he's got a lot of and I feel like he's got a lot of ability. Yeah, I just feel like, Eric, the strength of the draft is wide receiver. So you kind of play to it. You don't have to push the wide receiver. You can wait for the wide receiver. And you know what'll happen. Everybody's going to be like, this kid's the panacea. This kid's the fix. This kid is the de facto. He's going to change the dynamic. And you want that. But you know how it's going to happen. They're going to want to wean him in, spoon feed him, drip feed, see how much he can take up, see how much he can handle, and then give it to him more and more. Like a kid like Claypool, captain, senior, played special teams. We know they value guys like this. We know that. So we have to always take those things into consideration. And his size. And if he runs high 4.4s, low 4.5s, be all over that, and I just don't see them moving up. I see them taking moves maybe in the mid rounds, but in terms of the first, I don't see them using anything really to do that with. I see them kind of just staying there at 22. Maybe if somebody wants a quarterback that's on the board, like a Jordan Love or a Jacob Eason, somebody like that, somebody wants to give them something juicy, little sweet in the pot, I'd take that. But outside of that, it's a weird spot. 22 is kind of a weird spot to be in. Yeah, I just see that their staff is good and they're good at developing guys. We've seen that. Like I alluded to, their staff develops players. They don't that whole coach up term is just not a term they just use. That's not a coach speak thing. They actually do that. We've seen them develop guys. We've seen guys get better with the Bills. Raw guys like a Dawson Knox. He was barely used tight end at Ole Miss. That they loved his skill set. They loved his traits, and he had better numbers than T.J. Hockenson did. So, yeah, man. Yeah, that's the kind of thing that I see, Eric. If they make those trades, that doesn't shock me at all. They want to package, go back up into the third, maybe fourth for a dude, maybe bottom half of two for a dude. I totally 100% see it and agree with you. Outside of that, in the first, I don't see them doing any kind of crazy business unless it's to trade back a couple of spots, pick up a day two pick this year, possibly next. That's always cool to have an extra day two pick, coming down the pipeline. You can plan a little bit better for free agency, have a little bit more currency, but those things are hard to predict. Very, very hard to predict. That's the thing. Yeah. This draft class is so good. One guy that I'm not a big fan of, to be honest with you, he makes some crazy catches. I just don't feel like he's got a lot of breakaway ability. I just think he's more of a go up and get it guy. I don't know how shifty he is. I don't know his run after the catch. I feel like he can be caught. I don't know how truly physical he is once he starts getting pressed by NFL corners. Is T. Higgins. I'm not a T. Higgins fan. I would prefer one of the smaller, faster guys over him. At least a guy that I know can get it in his hands and just go. So I'm not trying to sell you on the kid that I like. I'm not trying to push him on you. I'm just offering it as food for thought. His versatility, his ability to do a bunch of different things, he'd be on the field right away in so many different areas. Special teams, kick return, cornerback, sub package, all over. And then you know what you could do with a kid like him? You don't have to keep an Andre Roberts. You don't have to keep a Sonoris Perry. You have a bunch of guys that you could, pick up that extra receiver. You want to keep an extra receiver, an offensive lineman, a corner, an end, whatever. You have that. You have that. Yeah, nobody worth their salt's going to Cleveland. So Chenault's a good kid. He's got some skills. He's got a crazy story. He grows his dreads for his dad, who pretty much died right in front of him and his family, and a real sad story. There's a little video of that interview on YouTube. And he seems like a guy. Again, I just don't think they're gonna have a guy come in and they're gonna try to push him as the savior, if you know what I mean. Ultimately, the offense and how good the passing game is or isn't going to be all up to Josh Allen developing. But obviously, size. One little tidbit. Again, I don't get much. I'm no insider. I'm not going to sit here and pretend to be one. I'm not going to be one of those people. But physicality was something that was said. Just physicality in the receiving core, physicality in the secondary. Duggar, physicality on both offensive and defensive lines. That's what I saw. And Eric, I'm 100%. I feel like this is one of the first times in over. I mean, the proof's in the pudding, Eric. The proof's in the pudding that this is the first competent front office since the Butler days, since the going all the way back to Polian. And Polian and Ferguson and all the guys that were in those front offices that you guys maybe don't even remember. Smith and all, AJ Smith, all those guys that were there at the time. Cleveland's a shit show. I'm glad we're not them. I was reading something about CeeDee Lamb, Snarl, not saying it's true. There's a lot of scuttlebutt. I really like Michael Pittman. I feel like he fits them too. Team captain, special teams. I just feel like they like guys that are like this. Maybe not so much skyrocket guys like, oh, hey, this guy's going to just, maybe he will. But I think they feel like a guy like Claypool, a guy like Duggar. Those guys are on they can get exponentially better than they already are. And they're already good players. Like, I see Duggar now, people talking about top 50. Oh, he should be in the top 50. I feel like if you only have 17, 18 first-round grades on guys and you're in the low 20s, mid-20s, you take them. You don't risk it. You take them. You have conviction, you take a kid. If you like Claypool, you need to move up a few spots, you move up, you take him too. Do you think about top pass rushers if we don't resign? See, Shaq or Phillips. See, Phillips, I think, is a one-off. I don't think Phillips is a guy that they have to go nuts for, be like, hey, we want to. And I think he's out there to get the most money. I'm leery of guys who are in their contract years that all of a sudden have good years. Shaq is more of an effort pass rusher. He's not a true pass rusher. 6.5 sacks. I mean, he really plays the run well. That's his better strength, actually, is playing the run. If you ask me what he's a better at playing the run or rushing the passer, he's a better run defender. If I'm gonna pay money, I'm gonna pay money to a guy that could potentially get me double-digit sacks or has double-digit sacks production. I don't ever see Shaq getting double-digit sacks ever. Yeah, the Snarl, they've invested in defensive tackle. See, this is what I think. Like, they drafted Ed Oliver last year, top 10 pick. They paid Starr. They have Harrison Phillips, who they invested a top 100 pick on in 18. They have, they picked up Vincent Taylor. Same way they picked up, Jordan Phillips off of waivers. You got a whole free agency. You have a whole undrafted free agency and a draft class. There's no need to push the envelope on a guy like him. There really isn't. I'd much rather see them use that money, give it to Milano contract extension, give it to Dawkins contract extension. No need to. I just do not see Phillips in a Bills uniform after this year. I think if there's one player they might re-sign, maybe it's Spain, but I don't know. We'll see. I think we're okay at defensive tackle. Murphy played okay down the stretch. I'd still like to improve over him. Do they need a pass rusher, though? Absolutely. Nah, he's a 3-technique defensive tackle, Snarl. There's just, you move him around in pass rush situations, but regular defense, he's such a pain in the ass. Quarterbacks hate rushes in the face. They hate it. They hate seeing guys coming right at them. That makes them get off their spot and move. That's why you see these teams moving on from these older quarterbacks that maybe can still play, because they know the way the league is now. You need a guy that can move. You can't have a statue anymore. Eli Manning, Phillip Rivers, Brady to a certain extent. Even though they're older players, you can't have statues at quarterback anymore. Do you go and you can go find a guy. Look at this. Look at Shaq Barrett. Shaq Barrett was a backup to Bradley Chubb and Von Miller the year prior. He was a career backup in Denver, had a career high of 4.5 sacks, was there for 4 years, goes to Tampa Bay, gets 20 sacks. You can, if you do your due diligence and you're looking for a guy that maybe has upside, who just hasn't got opportunities, you can find them. I'm not saying that those guys are readily available. That's rare. It's an anomaly. But I'm saying, if there's a front office that I trust, pro personnel department, it's this one, because they've earned it. They've earned the trust. They've earned the clout, that they've got, and just got to keep getting better. That's all. I trust them. Yeah, I expect him to take a huge step, Damager, a huge step. And Phillips was playing well. Harrison Phillips was our best defensive tackle when he got hurt. Granted, it was early days. It was only week 3, but still, it was an unfortunate loss to lose him so early in the season. But, the way I've seen him on Instagram, the way I see he's rehabbing like a savage. He's in that facility all the time. And that guy, again, all football, all the time, all in. That's why I look at these types of kids. Pittman is an example, Trevor, or Snarl. I'm sorry, Snarl. Claypool, Duggar. I read a couple of things about CeeDee Lamb. I don't think the Bills have a chance to take him because, he's one of the higher end guys. I feel like he's one of those first round grades in the top 16, 18. He's a partier, likes to party, likes to hang out a little bit, missed some treatments, missed some meetings, really wasn't reprimanded or punished for it at Oklahoma, but he's kind of a fringe guy. I don't think they want those guys. I really don't. I think they want guys that, they're not here to play games. They're not here to coddle kids. They're not here to be a daycare center. They're there to be a professional outfit. They're there to be a professional outfit run for one reason and one reason only, to win. If you have babies that you got to sit there and keep tabs on, and I'm not saying he's one of them. Who knows? Maybe it's conjecture. Maybe it's somebody trying to knock his draft class down. I just read a couple of different little things about it, and I was like, I don't think this is a guy the Bills would be interested in at all. That culture thing is real. They breathe it. They truly believe it. They're not just giving that shit lip service. They are not. That's why the kid made so much sense to me. Just the small school, humble beginnings, had to fight. Think of that. You have to wait around all that time. You only get 3 T2 offers. 3. That's it. And you just stick with it. He had to take a red shirt sophomore year because he got injured. Came back. And just had to keep going. Only played in 7 games this year and was still voted the D2 defensive back of the year, the Cliff Harris Award. I'm again, yeah, it's like that. It's a kid that he breathes everything that they appreciate, that they want. Any opinion on Jefferson, Hill? Oh, they're so polished, dude. So polished. They look great. Eric, they just, he looks like a wide receiver's kid. Like, he just so smooth in and out of his breaks, gets open, efforts. Those OSU kids, too. Brian Hartline does an amazing job as a receivers coach there. An amazing job. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that kid is a baller. If the other kid, Benjamin Victor, is a baller. But who knows, man? It's just, it's like McLaurin last year. McLaurin lasted in the 3rd round, and he was arguably one of the best. He got overshadowed, obviously, by a DK Metcalf because of the size and just the, how often does a DK Metcalf come along where, he ended up living up to his physical tools. I hope this kid or a few of these kids can pan out and the Bills can get one of them. I really do. I would love. What's up, Crazy Killer? How you doing, bro? I would really love that. But I think it would be wise to trade down to the 2nd and get more picks in day 2. Day 2 picks, but I don't see them. Again, how many open roster spots are they going to have on this team? Truthfully, this roster's in a much better position than it was last year. I mean, at the end of the day, it's before free agency. What are you going to have? You have 9 draft picks. I don't see 3 6-round picks making this team. I just don't see it. I like Mims. He's a good guy. He catches the ball well, adjusts to the ball well. Yeah, Metcalf turned into an amazing player. Jesus. I mean, but it's hard. If everybody knew that guy was going to turn out to that, and he went to the perfect team, no pressure. They played him in one position for a quarter of the season and slowly expanded his role. He's got a guy like Russell Wilson who scrambles around, and it's a fire drill, and you can just throw it up to him, and he can break off on broken plays and use his athletic skills. He doesn't have to be a precise route runner and be in a, he can just use his gifts while he learns the game. How optimistic? I'm pretty optimistic. I think that this team can improve. I think the players can improve because they believe in the staff that they have can help improve these, and they want the guys. They want to have guys that come in with the work ethic to want to improve. They don't want to just draft guys and be like, well, hey, I've arrived. I've arrived. I don't have to do no work no more. I'm here in the NFL now. I made it. They want guys like, hey, this is just the first step. I have to work even harder. I have to do even more now. That's why I said they want guys that aren't flat lines. They want guys that are veering upwards, not, kind of like stuck in neutral, if you will. That's why I earmarked those two players. Claypool's a little bit harder of a read because, once you're getting 50 deep, Bills pick at 54 in the second round as it stands right now. It's really hard to guess. I mean, maybe I can get the Duggar pick. Maybe. I was able to get the Gilmore pick in 12. I tried for the quarterback in 13, and I picked Matt Barkley. But, hey, Barkley ended up on the Bills, though. In the end, Barkley ended up on the Bills. How about nah. Not a Robbie Anderson fan, bro. The arrest in Florida, telling a cop he was going to come in his wife's face, in her face or whatever. I just don't see it. I don't see that being a fit. I think he's going to want to go cash in big money somewhere. Yeah, McKenzie's a toy, Trevor. Not a fan. Not a fan. Yeah, crazy killer offensive line is going to be – I see them adding two guys that can compete, a veteran and a rookie. I see them looking at two guys coming in that they feel like that they can add competition and possibly take a starting job, whether it's right tackle or one of the guard spots. I think that they're going to do – and that's another way you put pieces around Allen. You make sure he has a rock solid – you keep building that line. You don't ever neglect it, ever. Oh, I'm sure. And guys are going to get released, maybe one or two that are surprises, like, oh, this guy's available now. Look at Quentin Spann. He was a solid ad, played well, was no discernible weakness on the offensive line, and he was just a guy they picked up on a 1 year in June. Got released in May, June, and they just picked him up on a 1 year. There's all different ways from the beginning of next week on Tuesday when the waiver gate opens, all the way up until the week before week 1. You got 6.5, 7 months to improve the team. I'm not a fan of AJ Green's snarl. I just think the guy's body's breaking down. I just think his body's breaking down. I think he's seen his better days. He's played on that shitty turf in Cincinnati, and it's taken a toll on his body. He hasn't been healthy in like three seasons. He's 32. I just, I want a guy that they can, build with, and not have to worry about load management and babying him through the week just to pray and hope he can give them 45, 50 snaps on Sunday. He's not going to give you any versatility. Granted, the player in his heyday was amazing. Great player, phenomenal. If you're talking about a 26-year-old AJ Green, shit, I'd carry him to Buffalo. Antoine Winfield's son. It's crazy the amount of guys. Morse at least, he was healthy all year. He had his little nicks and bumps, but he played healthy all year, and he's 26. Morse is 26. AJ Green's 32, so big difference. He plays safety. He's not as and he's a little bit bigger than his dad too. The amount of guys that have kids in this draft is unbelievable. Looking at the list really made me feel old. I don't know if you guys ever remember a guard named he's an offensive tackle named Andy Heck. He played offensive tackle in the league for a long time, mostly with the Eagles. His kid is in the draft. Dave Wolabos, who was a center for the Dolphins and I believe the Patriots, his son is in the draft. Antoine Winfield's son is in the draft. Sean Jefferson's son's in the draft. Adam Vinatieri's son is a draft eligible player. So many guys it's just ridiculous. Yeah, Randy Moss's kids in the draft. I want to say there's a few other guys that have kids in this draft. Oh, John Runyon's kids in this draft with the same name, John Runyon, but I don't see that he's a junior. I just see his name as the same, John Runyon. It's unbelievable. Do I like Ndakwe? Had a down year, gonna want big money, still young, had that little dust up with Richie Incognito back in 2017 for the playoff game. Talked some shit, accused him of saying some racial stuff. I don't know. Again, Bills are big on guys who are just all in. A pass rusher that I kind of earmarked for them. He's not a big name guy. He's not a guy that, really he's had two seasons of double-digit sacks. To me, he was arguably the Giants' best defensive player, biggest high-effort guy, was really just everything I know from them, all in, tried his best every week for a losing team. It was just a really hard situation, but he had 10 and a half sacks for them, forced like 3 fumbles. Marcus Golden, he had a 13 sack year for the Cardinals. He fits that type. I actually seen him in a Walmart here, and he's listed at 6'3", 260. He is a legit 6'3", 260. The guy is a stud. He looks like a physical specimen. So it's all good. Kareem Hunt's. I don't know if you guys saw the TMZ video about him getting pulled over in Cleveland. It was pretty sad. It was pretty sad to see. He was just, he was begging to be like let go, in a sense that he was just, despondent. He seemed like, he said to the cop, I should be playing in a Super Bowl right now. I should, if you go look at the report, Crazy Killer, he was, it was just a mess. It was just a mess. I really feel bad for the kid. I really do. I hope he gets the help he needs, because he sounds like a guy that is in a bad place. I mean, he told the cop he would fail a drug test if he was tested, that he was in the off season having fun. I mean, you feel bad. You really do. You just, but it was also a sense of, like, he was kind of painting himself as the victim, It's just like, what, like, bro, like, you just got out of trouble. You got yourself back in the league. What are you doing, man? Wake up. He had open container of, the vodka was in the back seat. Again, these are things, talented guy. I just don't think these are the kind of things the Bills want to take on. There's tons of running backs, man. Crazy. There's guys you can get. I mean, there's every year, every year shows us, you can get running backs undrafted. Raheem Mostert, undrafted free agency. Matt Breida is an undrafted free agency. Their Wilson kid is an undrafted free agent. He's got like 8 touchdowns for the 49ers. The 49ers have damn near 3,000 yards rushing. You can find running backs. They met with a couple of running backs at the East-West Shrine game. There's been some interesting guys. I'm sure they're going to bring in a couple of guys. And again, most of them are undrafted. The guys that they paid money to are hurt. McKinnon, Coleman, hurt. Cut 7 times. Yeah, they're a dime a dozen. You don't pay big money. You see 3 to 4 years, if that, you rotate them in and out. You don't allocate big money to those guys. Sounds cold, whatever, but how long have we seen the Bills just like, oh my God, you have to the running backs, the running backs. Oh my God, it just kept coming. You know, trading a fourth round pick for Bryce Brown, who couldn't be active and fumbled the ball in a big game, just a mess. And then, you know, had Fred for so long, and then Spiller when you didn't need him. You trade Lynch. You trade for, McCoy. He had a few good years, then he had his issues. I'm just sick of that stuff. I just want, I want to be in the real NFL and just have a rotation. You have Singletary. He can definitely, get better and do some things, and you know what you have. That was another thing about last year's offense going into the season. You didn't know what Devin Singletary was going to bring. You kind of saw flashes of it in the preseason, but you truly didn't know what you have. This season really give you a taste. Dawson Knox, they had no designs of Dawson Knox playing as, much as he did, as raw as he was. Croft injured, and Knox did the best he could, had his drops, but you know what? For all intents and purposes, he showed more ability than any Bills tight end has had in a while. That's for sure. Yeah, he's been inactive. He's been inactive 2 weeks in a row, playoffs. So I mean, that's Andy Reid. That's Andy Reid deactivating him now. So that tells you all you need to know. I think Sweeney will get a chance again, and we have a whole off season to go. Hasn't even officially begun till the waiver. And I always think when it's the waiver opens. The waiver opens next Tuesday, and that to me signals the start of the 2020 season. The Tuesday following the Super Bowl, there's the Monday after, everybody talks about the game and stuff, and then there's the Tuesday. That to me is always the true first league year. Maybe you see some guys cut. Remember Bills last year, they picked up Duke. They picked up Duke in that time. They picked up Spencer Long, and I think one other guy. But we'll see what they do. I appreciate all the feedback I got about the prediction video. I know it wasn't sexy. I know it's not like a lot of sizzle. I just feel like that's soft. That's a little low-hanging fruit week. I'll just pin the Dale on the donkey of a different receiver every other mock you do. And that's just, I don't think the Bills are going to take a receiver at 1. I just don't. I just do not see it at all. Not with the depth of the draft. I don't see, it depends on who's available at 2, but I see a wide receiver in 2, really, and I see the kid that I predicted in 1. See if I'm wrong. We'll find out, but I feel confident about it. I feel really confident. Same way when I did the Gilmore pick, I was really, really confident that was going to be the guy that they would pick. And I did that March 22nd off, and yesterday was the 27th of January. So if I beat that shit by almost 2 months, I'll be proud of myself. Do you think we should get a wide? Oh yeah, definitely. Nobody outside of Brown and Beasley has a roster spot locked up. Foster has to come in and earn his job. Duke has to come in and earn his job. McKenzie, I don't think McKenzie will be brought back because he's got a second-round tender. The Bills are not going to pay Isaiah McKenzie $2 million. I think they'll just let him go to unrestricted free agency. They won't tender him. Any one of those guys. Anyone else flashed? Oh, there was several guys who flashed. I mean, Eric brought up Jefferson, Van Jefferson from Florida. Claypool flashed, Troutman flashed, Duggar flashed. There was an offensive lineman from a small school, St. John's, Ben Barch, and he stuck out to me because he has that raw, gritty toughness, position flexibility. Played guard, played tackle, moved around, and the Bills love that. They don't like one-trick ponies, particularly on the offensive line. He's got good length. I think he had like a 34, the tackle length that they like. So we'll see. Brian Edwards, he just pulled out because he wants to work. He's in Texas, I believe, working in Michael Johnson's Speed Academy. I get, kids want to impress the combine. The 40 is a sexy thing, and that makes them money. When scouts and people see that these kids can run, granted, it's in a straight line. and they just want to hone their skills. Why plan an event? Maybe if they get hurt, maybe it hurts them that they can't meet with the team. But they're seniors this year. So scouts have been to the schools. They've been to South Carolina. They've gotten to talk to him. They can't officially do it with juniors, but, the guys that I'm alluding to, the Bills being most interested in are seniors, captains, guys that were all around guys, all in guys that had to take the long road. So that's why they stuck out to me the most, because the Bills, they value that hunger, that they're not, they're not full and entitled, they're hungry and humble. Who's going to play outside linebacker next year? That's a lot of questions. I mentioned Zach Bourne. Maybe he's a guy you can come down, be your pass rusher in certain situations, because you know how it is. It's a sub-package league. It's a nickel league. It's a sub-package league. He can play, learn to play off the ball some. Bobby Babich has been around forever. He was the linebacker coach for Urlacher, Lance Briggs, Roosevelt Colvin, all those guys that rolled through that great Bear defense from 2001 to all the way up to 2010, 12, 13. So we'll see, and plus he and you got Voshon Joseph. They held on to Tyrell Dodson for, through his issue off the field. So I just don't think that they did that for no reason, and that was another thing about these kids. And I know it's corny, and I know people get, special teams. They have special teams ability. That means they're on the 46. Oh, they can play receiver, the special teams. Oh, they're on the 46. Lock, stock, the lot. Duggar can start. He can play in sub. He can play special teams. He can return. Oh, 46-man roster right there. Oh, you know what? We don't have to have an Andre Roberts and Sonoris Perry. We can have that extra defensive lineman this week, that extra running back this week. And next week we don't need that extra running back. We can have an extra tight end, because that's going to help us against this team. We can have an extra receiver or two. Ability. Doesn't like to play in cold weather. And he's going to want a lot of money. Hates to play in cold weather and has admitted it privately. He does not like to play in cold weather. So Buffalo is not going to be the place for Amari Cooper. So that's it. And the reason I brought up special teams before I jump off of here. Remember last year, the Bills, they straight up lost the first Patriots game on a block punt. Allen had his issues, but they lost that game on a block punt. Bills, let's just say block punt notwithstanding return touchdown, Bills win that game. The Bengals game almost got turned even worse on a kickoff return that was called back. It was a punt return that was called back on a penalty. Darius Phillips returned. The Dolphin game almost got flipped on its ear. Jakeem Grant returns the kickoff for a touchdown, and just starts causing them issues with another long kickoff return. So you need, that area has to be, shored up a little bit more. Woods didn't want to play. He was a good player. I wish the Bills would have had a bit better, this regime, I think, would have been a lot different for Robert Woods, but it was tough. I think it's he was a rookie coach last year, and personnel, still needs to get better. The Bills still need to get better, but with the receiving core, another thing that's under, you bringing up Robert Woods. Makes me think of this. The reason we didn't see those long runs last year, we saw those 20 yarders, 25 yarders. We didn't see those 45, 50 yarders. The blocking from the wide receivers was non-existent. Our wide receivers were all, shit. The head coach called them Smurfs. You don't have big physical bodies blocking downfield, knocking guys off balls, locking guys out, keeping the running backs clean so they can get to the third level, second level. So a guy like Claypool, is a huge asset in that regard, a huge asset. So that was another thing. And that was another thing I saw from Claypool. He wasn't a stiff. Like he runs, his hips move like a guy that's smaller. But I was interested to see that what the guys measured. Mims measured in at, he was listed at 6'3", got measured at 6'2". Pittman measured at 6'4", measured at 6'3". So those are semantics, but just for a guy to actually truly measure 6'4", who was listed 6'4", 229, legit measured. You go on his Instagram, the kid is just put together. He's a specimen. He's a specimen. I mean, he looks the part. And he has a cool name too, Claypool. So I think that would be cool. 10 hands, 10-inch hands. So he's got the frame. He's got the frame, and from a makeup standpoint, he's what they're looking for. All right, guys, thank you so much for the love. It's a Tuesday night. Thanks for jumping on with me for 50 minutes or so. I'm not again. They could add a veteran receiver, but I feel like they want to have some younger guys in the coffers to start building and growing behind Beasley, behind John Brown. Those are your veterans. Those are your guys that could lead the way. And I think they want to put a couple of young guys with some promise and potential and upside behind those guys to start learning from them as long as they're in Bills uniforms, and then hopefully pass the torch. That's the way I'm looking at it right now, because they don't really have a receiver. Maybe Robert Foster still has that big upside that could just blow up, And I hope Foster can refine his game and get better. I think they tried focusing him on special teams. That kind of caught him off guard. He thought he was going to have a bigger role in the offense. He didn't, and he had to work on the more nuanced points of wide receiver, particularly route running, being in his place, finding his landmarks and being there. A little bit different for him. You saw the adjustment. He's got the physical tools. What's up, Ronald? How you doing, bro? I'm about to jump off here. I'm sorry. It's a little late. I have an early AM, unfortunately. But again, thank you guys so much for jumping in. The off season is long, but it can be fun once we see new guys starting to be coming into the fold, and we start to hear the names, we start to see the meetings, maybe some signings start to happen, and then the new league year starts officially. It's officially March 16th on a Tuesday, 4 p.m. That's when the free agency opens and all that stuff starts. So until then, peace, guys. Have a great rest of your week. Be safe. And take care of you and yours always. Yep, 100% Damager. Go Bills. Till next time. That's it. Check out my last video, Ronald. Have a good one, man.